Are you a L.I.V.E teacher? L.I.V.E teachers not only think outside of the box, they break the box.
Are you a L.I.V.E teacher? A L.I.V.E teacher is someone who never stops learning.
We know that highly efficacious, efficient, and effective educators expect their students to succeed.
Yes, y'all. Watch out!
L.I.V.E, highly efficacious, effective, and efficient educators, is a series of 22 live lessons that focus on different areas of teacher efficacy, advocacy, and support.
L.I.V.E teacher brings fun into the classroom.
L.I.V.E teachers bring excitement to the classroom.
They welcome change into their classroom. They are masters of the subject and the content that they teach. And most importantly, they never stop learning. So again, I ask, are you a L.I.V.E teacher?
We're excited that you can join us, so stay tuned for our upcoming L.I.V.E lessons, and we look forward to learning and growing with you. Thank you.
Yeah, come on. I like that, y'all. The H, the E, the H, the H, the E, I. The H, the E, the H, the H, the E, I. I like that, like that. The H, the E, I. H, I, E, I, H, E, I. Heck yeah. Yes, y'all. Watch out. H-E-Y.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hi, everybody. I'm Lavetta Levels, and I'm bringing you greetings from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to the L.I.V.E Summer Learning Series, where our goal is to inform, empower, and encourage educators, families, and all those stakeholders in education. Whether it's your first time joining us or if you've attended before, we are so glad that you are with us tonight. Thank you for your presence and your participation as we learn and grow tonight. We are so excited about tonight's session. Tell us, where are you watching us from? Hello to Atlanta, Georgia. I see you, Georgia. Shout out to the ATL. Texas, Ohio, Tennessee, Florida, DC, California. I see you all. Please comment and let us know where you're watching us from. Share the video. Tag Isis, you're it.
Hello, everyone. I am Isis Span, bringing you greetings from Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And I know y'all singing and y'all dancing our theme song by now because we know all the words. So tag Keishla, you are it.
Thank you, Isis. You are correct. The H, the E, the H, the E. Welcome, everybody. Hi, my name is Keishla Wiley, and I bring you greetings from Dallas, Texas, by way of DeSoto, Texas. We're excited you're here with us tonight. And Simone, tag, you're it.
Hey, everybody. Y'all already know what I'm going to say. I'm from the great state of North Carolina, but I live in Maryland. Shout out to Miss Candace Yvonne. You say you're from Prince George County, Maryland. Guess what? I'm in Prince George County, Maryland, too. So we're excited. We thank all of you for tuning in. We see Dallas, Alabama. Tonight, we have an amazing young woman. She is like an honorary L.I.V.E member. She has been supporting us from the very, very beginning. And so we're excited about this. So I want to introduce to some of you and present to others Miss Amissa Green. She's a native Nashvilleian, and she comes from a family of teachers. You know, some people come from a family of preachers, but she comes from a family of teachers. So she is proud 2000 graduate of Tennessee State University with a bachelor's degree in early childhood education. She's taught for 17 years in Nashville, Hendersonville, and Springfield, Tennessee, teaching grades kindergarten, first, pre-K, and third. I am more of a middle school teacher, so, you know, more grace to all the younger teachers. Currently, she teaches English language learners at Springfield and has had the pleasure of working with newcomers to America, as well as transitioning students in grades kindergarten, first grade, fourth, and fifth grades. In addition to working with ELL students, Amissa worked as an after-school tutor for fifth grade struggling with reading. She had the opportunity to participate in the inaugural D-Tech program in 2015, where she learned essential lessons to bring to the classroom and revive her teaching. The following year, she had an opportunity to work alongside one of the D-Tech facilitators as an instructional coach and was able to serve in two parts. She assisted the second group of participants and the facilitator and continued learner of new methods. She's had a chance to work as a Girl Scout leader with Sharada Lane Church of Christ, where the girls and her had the opportunity to learn teamwork, camping, sewing, and first aid. She's a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Has been active since, I don't know what they doing, since 2007. Woo! Her work, she's been named Delta Educator of the year in 2010. And opportunity she's been given to work with students that she had the chance to learn from, as well as share her knowledge. So on behalf of the L.I.V.E team, we want to welcome Miss Amissa Green to the
Hello, ladies. How are you all? Hello, my sorors. How is everyone doing today? And I want to definitely thank the L.I.V.E team, the D-Tech team, the D-Tech tag team, draft, and everyone for allowing me to speak on tonight. I've thoroughly enjoyed participating in the sessions since its inception, and I can't wait for school to start back in order to share what I've learned with my learners. With regards to my presentation on tonight, there's a funny story behind the title of that. I had the opportunity to work with a pre-K student a few years back, and anytime I read a book, I picked a book up. Before we began our discussion on that particular book, he would raise his hand. And you know, for boys and reading, you already know boys and reading, they don't mesh. But he would always raise his hand. I have a question. before I even started. So I said, I'm going to take that and run with it. And we're going to look at questioning tonight. So again, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to share some things that I have learned with regards to questioning. And I'm excited to learn from the team and learn from our participants.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Got it.
All right. I have a question. How to use questioning to engage pre-K to fifth grade scholars. And many of you are probably wondering, well, pre-K students, they don't ask a lot of questions. They're not readers. They're not beginning to read. Most stories are read to them. And you are correct in that manner. Many pre-K learners, kindergarten learners, and even some first grade learners are stronger and receive their reading through read aloud. However, that beginning phase of wanting to know about stories and engage in how words work and how characters work together is the definite beginning to them growing as a reader and as a learner. And it can help them to transition into a stronger reader by the time they're in fifth grade. I also want to give a very special shout out to Kreisel Elementary School. That is the school that I teach at in Springfield. I believe my principal may possibly be on here. So shout out to Angel Williams and Diane Holden. And I can't wait to see you guys in just a little bit post-COVID. Next slide. We have an activity that we're going to do. I want to share what I've learned and what I've shared with my students and other colleagues with questioning, but I'm curious to see what everyone else knows with regards to questioning. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on questioning? And I've got my timer right here, and I'm going to set it for 2 minutes. I want you to place your response in the chat, and we'll respond to some of those, and we'll talk about them as we begin. All right, ready, set, go. You have 2 minutes to share that. And again, I wanted to give everyone a chance to give their personal opinion or their thoughts on questioning. I know that there are parents here, and you're probably wondering, well, my child asks questions all the time. That's questioning. Well, yes and no. This particular form or strategy is used with relationship to reading, but I want to show you and allow you the opportunity to see how they can go together, how them asking a question about, well, what sock is this? What dog is this? Why is that car running the way it's running? How that can build and how that can grow into reading strategies. Okay. So definitely want to see what questions, what your thoughts are with regards to questioning. And I see some of the chat starting to come in. So we've got some good conversations coming in right now. And you have 1 minute and 53 seconds, and then we'll stop that, and then we'll read some of these and talk about them as we go through the presentation. And again, I wanted to say thank you to everyone for coming in and for sharing this with me. I'm an avid reader myself, and I often ask questions myself, and you'll learn more about that as we go through this presentation. All right, 1 minute and 27 seconds. And I see lots and lots of comments coming through from all over the country. And I'll go ahead and I'll start some of these off as time is trickling down, and I'll let you know how much time you have left as we go forward. One statement stated, asking and answering questions. That's what questioning means to them. Are there different levels of vocabulary that you should consider when questioning? And we may get to that a little bit later. Making connections, asking open-ended questions. Questioning allows the reader to gain a deeper understanding of the text and to get engaged with the text. That is true, and that's something that I've learned myself. This was my first year working with 4th and 5th grade students, and I saw a lot of that as we engaged and talked with them about questioning as we read. Questioning should lead and lend itself to cultural identity. Questions help to generate conversations, and you guys have 27 seconds, and these are rolling in really good. Ask questions based on their background knowledge. So those are some definite ideas. Want to see what the children know already. Questioning, again, we said helps to assess the student's comprehension. Questioning helps to generate conversations. Asking questions based on their background knowledge. So again, all of these, and that is time. All of these are excellent thoughts and perspectives with regards to questioning. And there, as they say, there is no right or wrong answer, but all of these are things that parents and teachers can use with questioning and students. Next slide, please. Questioning is, let's look and see exactly what questioning is, okay? Questioning is a category based on helping students engage in and with text. So, as I said, my little friend who would constantly would raise his hand and ask a question before I even began to read the story or even talk about the story, he was starting to engage with the book. He would look at the picture sometimes, and I don't know if you can see this. You'll see this book a little bit later. He would look at the picture and would have questions immediately once he saw that picture, and it would just build and grow from there. Questioning also gives clarity to what is read and gives a better understanding of the text. And you can see this particular strategy or this particular step in students that are struggling readers, early readers, or even those that are a little bit stronger or more advanced, because it's helping them to gain some sort of clarity as to what they are reading. And they're constantly thinking, what's going to happen? What's going on? How does this play about in this particular story? And finally, questioning is a way for students to monitor their own comprehension when they're reading. And that's something that we'll talk about a little bit later on. That's a skill or a strategy that you may see in some of your more advanced, more proficient readers. Those that are reading more so closer to grade level, they are not struggling with the words and trying to understand the words. They are now questioning what the story is about and challenging their own comprehension as they move forward. Next slide, please. All right. So you're probably wondering, well, why is questioning needed? My child asks questions all the time. I have a nephew who is 16, and when Keelan was little, Keelan asked quite a few questions, quite a bit. As he's gotten older, not as much. I also have cousins and other students that I've worked with that ask questions constantly. And as they've gotten older, again, they don't ask as many. But questioning is definitely needed in the sense of help allowing us to see as teachers, as parents, as advocates, what children need in terms of their reading. So why is questioning needed? Questioning, it can work in different ways depending on the type of reader that you have. So as we talked earlier about our beginning and our struggling readers, they spend more of their time looking at words to reveal the meaning of the text or what is read. So, for example, if they come to a word like interactive, a word that they are very unfamiliar with, or energy or interlock, they would spend more time trying to process and break apart that particular word, and they would lose a lot of time in trying to understand or to question what's going on. Their questions would more so center around how to pronounce that word or how to say that particular word. So many of their questions don't challenge their thinking. They're very basic. Is this an apple? Who ate the cookie? Is the sock blue? Is the sock red? There isn't any challenge right in there for a struggling reader or a beginning reader in terms of questioning. Their questions are very basic because they're still trying to figure out and manipulate the words. So as they grow stronger with their word knowledge and their vocabulary knowledge, then they will start to transition into wanting to ask questions about the story. And that leads us to our next part. More readers, good readers, tend to do the opposite of this. The text is challenged by asking questions as they are reading. So as they read, they challenge the text. They're constantly writing things down on the sides. If you see a lot of students who have articles that they are reading, they're constantly writing things on the side. A lot of my students use Post-it notes. So I would often tell them, if there's something that you see that you want to ask yourself about or you want us to talk about later, write it down on a Post-it note. And you would see Post-it notes all in books. I found more Post-it notes in my books with writing on it, as well as Post-it notes all over articles that I would give them to read based on the topic that we were talking about for that particular week. So as they become a stronger reader, as they're a more advanced reader or proficient reader, this is what they will do. They will challenge themselves by asking questions as they are reading, and they'll want to write them down because they don't want to forget them. An example of these particular types of questions are, why did they say that? Why did the author say that? Why did the character say that? What did they mean by that? What was the purpose of them doing that in order to make that dog go? I wonder, and that's something that I tend to use a lot with my students as I'm reading read-alouds to them. We'll get to a particular page and I'll stop and say, I wonder why X, Y, and Z. But they'll also ask themselves that as they are reading. I wonder what and why they did that. And a lot of the information that I have with regards to questioning, one of my tools, this came from Classroom Nook. So we'll talk about my toolbox at the end, but this is one of the things I took from my toolbox to share with you as to what and why questioning is needed. Next slide, please. So we're going to do another little quick activity. This should be pretty fun as well. And this is actually one of my favorite books. And Isis, I'm ready for Isis to get the video together. We're going to listen to the story, The Dot. And after that, there are some question stems that we're going to look at and use. And those question stems start off with what I call my favorites, the 4 W's. The 4 W's are who, what, when, where, and why. So we're going to look at that as we watch this video and use those stems to answer those questions. Okay, Isis, we're ready.
The Dot. By Peter H. Reynolds. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. "Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm," she said. "Very funny," said Vashti. "I just can't draw." Her teacher smiled. "Just make a mark and see where it takes you." Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good, strong jab. There. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, "Now sign it." Vashti thought for a moment. "Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name." The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. I can make a better dot than that." She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted. A red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow. She discovered that she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting, lots of little dots in many colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on a bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots were quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're a really great artist. I wish I could draw," he said. "I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. Show me. The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, "Sign it." The end.
The Dot. And that's the reason, my reasoning for choosing that particular book is that is one that you can use from pre-K on up to 5th grade for read alouds, for text information, various reading strategies you can use this particular book for, and it's one of my favorites. Next slide. Next slide. So let's look at using those question stems. And remember, we said the question stems, there are 4 to 5 of them. Who, what, when, where, and why. All right. So in looking at or thinking about the story that we just heard, The Dot, here's some examples of some question stems that you can use to ask or to engage readers about this particular story that we just heard. And again, each is an example of questions that early, primary, and middle school learners can have a relationship with in terms of a read aloud. So we'll just take just a minute or two. I'll set my timer again for just 1 minute. And I want to see, using the question stems I've given you and based on the story that we just read, what are some questions that you can form using these particular stems? Go. You have 1 minute, and let's place those answers in the chat. Again, I want to see what you guys are able to come up with in terms of questioning. And this, again, as I said, is one of my favorite books, The Dot. It's just a funny, inspiring story, and it also allows children to not only question, but it also allows them to build up their own self-confidence in something as small as a dot. And you see the ramifications and the joy that other students and other classmates aided Vashti in terms of using just a simple dot in terms of making art. She inspired me because I can't draw. So that was an inspiration to me. I probably would just put a dot on there and call it a day, and bam, that's art. So that was an inspirational story to me as well. You have 1 minute and 4 seconds, and I'll go ahead and look and see what questions we see based on those stems. So again, I want to see what question stems you're using, the question stems that I've given you. What questions can you form just using these particular stems and using that book? I want to see what your thoughts are and what you can come up with. One that I would use is, what is Vashti doing? What is she doing? Where are they? As they move forward and move towards the art gallery, I would wonder, if I were a student, where are they? Where in the world are they? Especially if I myself have never been to an art gallery. When will the boy display and show his art? Awesome. I see some great questions coming through. What is Vashti doing? What is Vashti doing? What is Vashti doing? Who is telling the story? What if you had the chance to tell the story? That's a good one. Why did they choose a dot? Why did they not choose a squiggle? Why did they not choose a footprint? When will he show his art? Good question. Good question. Good question. So again, these are just some stems that you can use, using those for the 4 or 5 W's as I talk about often. And we'll talk about those more through the presentation. Next slide, please. Questioning plus thinking. Questioning and thinking go together and mesh together well. So according to many of the experts, thinking skills allow students to do several things. It allows them to wonder why events happen in a story and to guess the outcome. So in terms of that, that's a good way for them to predict. They can question what's going to happen, and then they can predict what will come later. As you read, you can use the text to see if your guess was correct. Also, you're able to question various parts of a story about certain events. So let's look at our story, The Dot. We were able to question why Vashti was so angry and so upset, why she was bothered. All right. In terms of why she was bothered, how did the teacher help her feel confident and feel better about what she felt she could not do? Also, you're able to predict what will come next, and you will allow the imagination is allowed to see how the story will end. So as you're building, those questions are allowing you to build upon what you yourself said or what you yourself predicted would happen or could happen near the end of the story. And as we saw, that was a definite twist when the little boy came up and all he had was a line. So now we'll see how he'll take his line and maneuver his line to the next activity. Excellent job. Next slide, please. When a child begins to ask questions, and I've seen this quite a bit in my own classroom, with my own family, with my own church members, anytime I've worked with children throughout my career, I've seen a lot of these different aspects of questioning come about. Number one, it helps to begin a discussion. Amari, which was the little boy that I spoke of earlier, whenever he saw a picture, it began a discussion, and it allowed me to stay on my game and make sure that I was ready and I was fully familiar with the story that I read. He was ready every time I showed a book, and I don't know if he's listening, but he inspired me in more ways than one. It also starts their own building of background of the story. Prior knowledge is key. And if they are able to take what they see as far as the pictures or things like that in the story and build upon that, build it up upon what they know already and build a background of the story, it helps to make a bigger and stronger connection. And it helps the story to become clearer to them. Also, it allows the student to form questions on every aspect of the story. So not only will they ask about the characters, they can talk to you all about the setting, they can talk to you about the plot, they can have you to see if there's problems in there, if there's solutions in there that we can solve. It also allows the students and it engages the students in digging deeper to gain an understanding of the story. So again, still building on comprehension. So as we've said prior, questioning, the stronger the reader, helps comprehension and helps their understanding of the story to become clearer. Next slide, please. Engagement of questions and reading for me as a reader. And as I said, I was an avid and still am a very, very avid reader. I am actually reading 2 books now. I'm reading The Notice and Note for work, and I'm reading a book called American Spy. So I am a very avid reader, and I always have been. But one thing that engaged my reading and allowed comprehension to be a little bit clearer for me, because even though I was a great reader, comprehension was something I struggled with a little bit. So it took me a little longer to understand, but once I got it, I got it. So in seeing that, reading has often allowed me to connect with the story and to wonder what will happen next. So there were times I would go to the bookstore and just look at the cover of the book, and I would have questions about what would happen. Then I would read the back, and that would engage me even more. And I said, oh, I have to buy this book. I have to read it. Also, it allowed me to see who was involved and how the events are similar to my own life. So definitely making that text to self connection. Listening to stories read aloud or told orally, reading them silently as well as acting them out allowed me to gain an understanding of various types of text. So again, that connection that I made from text to self allowed me to help to further my understanding of reading and of comprehension. From this experience with books, questions around the story began to form, aiding my understanding of what I read. Because as I said, even though I was an avid reader, I was a word caller, but understanding and trying to grasp what was going on was a little difficult for me. So as the more I read, the more I questioned, the more I engaged and related it to myself, then it became clearer to me, and I was able to understand what I was reading. Next slide. Ways I use questioning with my particular scholars. And again, we saw this book a little earlier, and I want to share this with you in terms of doing a particular picture walk. And a picture walk allows you to just quietly walk through a book and to talk about the pictures, to discuss the pictures on each page. And as you do that, that allows you to start predicting, like, what will go on? What's happening here? Why is that occurring? So a very simple way, we'll do this with just one page because this book is somewhat lengthy. And I don't know if you can see it, but you'll say, I see a turtle who has a hat on. I see a little boy that's laughing. I wonder why that turtle has that hat on his head. So that's an example, or a brief example, of doing just a picture walk, is to question the picture and to build your prior knowledge, or to build your thoughts as to what will happen in the story based on what you're seeing. Predicting before, during, and near the end. And once again, as I said, there are times that I would read stories to my learners and I would stop and say, I wonder. And that could be in different phases or parts of the book that I was reading. Questioning, of course, asking and answering those questions to myself, wondering why, noticing new words. Again, for our struggling readers and our beginning readers, those new words that they will focus in on a little bit more, that's the time that will occur, and you can talk them through that and allow them to see what that word means as you're reading, and then won't spend as much time there on that particular word, and you can move towards more questioning and more comprehension. Review the story, read alouds of various genres. So you could have informational books that you could use as a read aloud. You could use picture books, fiction books, bios. All of those are various types of genres that you can use with students. It allows you to build background, and it allows you to have a way to relate the story to themselves. I did this quite a bit with all of the children that I worked with last year, my kindergartners, my first graders, my fourth and my fifth. But my first graders, I did this more with them because they were coming in at various levels. And I wanted to not only improve their English, but to build upon their reading skills that they would need and that they would progress in. And when they went back to class, they were able to share and show that to their classroom teachers. Next slide, please. All right, let's play. So we're going to play one last game, and then we'll end for the night, and we're going to play Kahoot It. So go ahead and log into kahootit.com, and I will share my screen. And we will go ahead and play this really quickly just to see if you've been paying attention. All right. So there you should see our code. So go ahead and log that in. And I have the sound on mute. So go ahead and log in and then type in any sort of name that you want to use to begin here. Oh, I see Kay from Texas. Who will be our winner? All right. Let's see. I'll go ahead and take the sound off because I had it muted. There we go. All right, so that way we can actually feel like we're playing. All right, Dead to Flesh. We've got 2 players so far. So I'll give you just a couple more minutes, and then we will go ahead and we will start playing just for time's sake. Isis, I see Isis in there. Give you 30 more seconds to go ahead and find Kahoot It and log in. And if you, this is an awesome interactive game that you can use with any student, with any learner that you may see or work with. I've enjoyed it. I've loved it. And again, my EL friends have loved it, have loved using this. All right. All right. 10 more seconds and then we'll play. Who will be my winner? Let's see, we got 8 players so far. All right, that's time. All right, So we'll go ahead and we will start playing. All right. There are 5 questions. Are you ready? Questioning is, all right. What is questioning? Children talking nonstop, a way to engage and explore, a strategy used to help students engage in and with text, a way to monitor. 3, 2, 1. All right. Number 2 is, you are correct. It is a strategy used to help students engage in and with text. Okay. All right. Let's see who we have. Who are our winners? All right. So next. So we have Kay, who's in the lead. Isis is following right behind her. All right. Number 2. It's important for scholars to ask questions in order to challenge what they have read, talk nonstop, look smart, keep adults on their toes. 8 more seconds. All right. Challenge what they have read. Correct. We got 3 people that got that correct. So Kay from Texas is still in the lead. Dead Fish is creeping up. Isis is number 2. All right. Blank is one of the 4 W's. We, would, which, what. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. What? Kay from Texas is still there. Isis, you're on fire. They say you're moving, girl. All right. Beginning and struggling readers use questions to challenge their reading. True or false? Three, 2, 1. False. All right, Kay is still there. Good job. Last one. When a child begins to ask questions, this means they are tired of reading, they are bored, they want to talk to parents about the book, they are starting to build background of the story. 3, 2, 1. 4. They are starting to build background of the story. All right. Duplicate. I have a question. Let's play. So very good. I have Dead Fish in 3rd place, Isis in 2nd, and Kay from Texas in 1st. Excellent. Very good. All right. All right. So I hope you all enjoyed playing that. Next slide, Isis. Awesome, guys. Awesome job, guys. And Isis, if you all will leave your our 3 winners, Kay from Texas, Isis, and Dead to Fish, if you will leave your information in the chat box, I will get that and I will send something to you, a gift card to you for winning. So congratulations to our winners. As we're wrapping up, I wanted to share some tools from my toolbox. So there are various books and items and resources that I've used, but these are 2 of my favorites in terms of pulling ideas and activities for questioning. Notice and Note is they're fairly new author on the scene, and in this particular book I get a lot of my strategies to use with closed readings, as well as how to pull questions from closed reading and comprehension connections. So in this particular book by Tammy McGregor, their activities and strategies on questioning, using visualization while you're reading, how to build schema, and about building metacognition. So those are just some of the tools from my particular toolbox that I want to share with you. All right, next slide. And again, I wanted to thank you all and thank the DTEC team, the L.I.V.E team for allowing me to speak to you today. And I hope I was able to share some information and ideas with you. As I said, I've been on this particular L.I.V.E since the beginning, and I've tried to come to each and every one of the sessions, and I've learned, and I wanted to share something with someone else that I've used in my own classroom. So again, I'm an English language learner teacher in Robertson County. My school is Chrysler Elementary School. So you have my phone number here, as well as my personal and my work email. So any questions or anything that you want to discuss with me, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you all so much.
Lisa, you did an amazing job being a English language arts teacher, and I've taught ELL. I've learned so many things, and one thing that you shared was about I wrote it out. I think you said picture walk, where you just go through and walk through the picture.
Yes.
I thought that was so cool because, they talk about using picture books for even older children outside of elementary. Yes. And I use them from time to time, but that was just another strategy that I'm definitely going to use. So thank you so much. And I shared with you before that I had the notice to note books. I love the signposts they have.
Yes.
The strategy for close reading and the one for nonfiction. So these are great tools for English language learners. And so you are a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you.
Very versed. You know your information. And so we're excited. So thank you again tonight for presenting such a great presentation. So for all of you who have been thank you. So all of you who have been watching, this is the time now where you bring your own voice. There was so much that Amissa shared. So if you have any questions, please post them here. Bring your own voice, and we will take your question, and we will definitely engage you tonight. So again, thank you so much, Amissa. This was really good. Like, when it's your content, you get excited about it. So like,
yes.
This is my content, so I'm excited tonight. So the first question: how can questioning aid readers at grade level to read?
So again, as I stated earlier, or we talked about earlier, there are different forms of questioning for your beginning readers, your struggling readers, and a different phase of questioning for your more proficient or your advanced readers. So those that have the understanding and that are reading at grade level. So questioning in terms of a reader that's already reading at grade level, it allows them to not focus on, well, what word is this and why is the character doing this? They're actually challenging their thinking in terms of their comprehension. So they can transition from the learning to read phase to reading to learn. So they can take that, they can go back and look through the text and pull information out to answer those various questions. So if they're reading at grade level, then they're able to challenge their own thinking about the story themselves.
Wow. So, I mean, so I have a question. That's not here, but I have another question. Just thinking about being in the classroom. Sometimes there are educators who get kind of frustrated when children are asking a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. What would you say to the educator who is getting frustrated with children asking a lot of questions?
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first met my little friend that I told you all about, that would get on my nerves, and it's normal. It's natural. And again, I'm sure there are parents who are wondering, my child asks questions all the time. Why? Is that a good thing? Because again, that's showing their own personal curiosity. You're not only allowing them to explore, and even though you don't want to answer those questions, you are tired of them asking them, but it allows them the opportunity and the chance to explore. Okay. So again, transitioning that to reading, if they're asking various questions about a particular story, whether it be small in the beginning or more advanced as they're older, that means that they're starting to understand what they are reading. So as frustrating as it may be, and as much as you don't want to hear that, or as tired as you get of hearing those questions, let them ask, because it's not a bad thing if they're asking a bunch of questions. Now, if they're getting nosy, that's something I can't help you with. That's something totally different. But if they're asking certain questions with regards to things around them, their surroundings or a book, then allow them to do that.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have some questions coming in now. So here's the first one up here from Miss Keisha.
Okay.
Wow. She says, are there different levels of vocabulary that you should consider when questioning?
Again, it just depends on the level of the reader. For your beginning and your struggling readers, you're helping them to build an understanding of those particular words and how those words are used. So it just all depends on what level reader you have in terms of the vocabulary with questioning. So it just depends on where they are.
Okay. All right. So Miss Edmondson says, what techniques would you use for reluctant readers?
And that's actually my cousin. So, but certain things, it all depends. As you saw, we use the video, the dot. You can allow them to hear the story that's read to them via video. You can build it up, and I'll use my little story again. I wonder. I see a little girl dressed in a mouse suit. I see a little boy hiding behind her. I see a tiger. I wonder what is happening. Or you could relate it to yourself. You could relate it to a book that they may have read earlier. We read the book, The Monster Under My Bed, and there's a sequel that happened to be on a particular website that I used, and we compared the two stories. So before I even read it, we compared the two stories. The children were excited about it, and they wanted to hear it. And once I finished reading it, and I used my different voices, I tend to use different voices as I'm reading, that also engaged them, and that allowed them to say, when she finishes this book, I want to read it. And there were times I would hear them reading it like me.
Yeah.
And it was exciting. And these were some, and again, this was the first time in my 17 years that I had mostly boys this year. Yeah. Boys don't do much reading, but it was amazing to do that, to get them excited about reading.
That is a great answer. And I don't know if it's just the generation that we coming up on, but the last 2 years I've had predominantly male driven classrooms, and it wasn't on purpose. It's just a lot of males, and so that's a good point. And then Miss Amy says, how do you work with a child who is in a French immersion school?
Just the same as most of the students that I work with are Hispanic. However, when I worked in a different school, I had students that came from Italy. They were from Korea, China, Albania, but primarily Hispanic. So when you're looking at using questioning and working with students who are in a French immersion school, primarily, as I do with my Hispanic students, if you find one child that can speak both languages that can help you translate, you start there. Another thing that I did, I had a student who spoke full Spanish, but anytime I showed him a bottle or anything, if he saw anything, he would begin to talk. And that's how I took that relationship, and I built upon his reluctancy. But once he saw something just anything, I had a picture of a Coke bottle. He started to talk about dropping a Mentos in a Coke bottle, and it exploded. I had a picture of a snake. He started to talk about the snake that he saw in his backyard. He also talked about at Thanksgiving going and chasing a turkey and finding a turkey. So it all depends on whatever that particular student has. You can just start with something little. And if you have someone, again, in there that can speak the language, that can help you translate, that's the best way to engage with those students.
And I agree, because and I think we have a lot in common. So I'm going to reach out to you, because I teach at a Hispanic school. So this is like good stuff for me, like my wheels. So here is the last one, and thank you so much. Ms. Rosalind Stewart said, she says she can use this for 8th grade science learners. And you know what I've learned, Amissa, is that good teaching is good teaching, and you can scaffold this across whatever grade level, whatever kind. Exactly. So she's saying, in what ways can questioning be used to build writing?
Okay. So once again, and I saw Ms. Stewart's other question. I think she wanted a picture of the books again. Yes, so as we finish, if you can just give me a signal, and I'll say those again for her.
Okay.
In terms of writing and questioning, once for your stronger readers, or even for your earlier readers, as they have gone through, if they've written questions down or they've taken notes about that particular text that they have read, they can go back and use those questions to start to build upon their writing, to take their graphic organizers and map out and plan what they want to say. So as they question, as they write things down, then they can transfer that to their writing, to write a narrative or to write an opinion paper, depending on what it is that you're reading, or an informational type of paper, depending again on what you're reading, to transfer that in. So as they're writing those things down, as they're questioning, as they're thinking, then they can transfer that and write it down in their writing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Miss, you can go ahead and share the 2 books, the 2 resources again.
Okay. And if I don't know if Isis may be gone, but they were Notice and Note, looking at closed reading. And if we'll go back just a couple of slides, Isis, to that last, there it is. Notice and Note, strategies of closed reading, and comprehension connections, which is by Tammy McGregor. I believe that's her last name. I may be saying her name wrong, but those were the 2 resources that I use. Again, there are several others that I've used, but these are just 2 of my favorites in there in terms of how to blend questioning across the grade level and across not demographics, but across learning styles.
And you know, I will agree with the Notice and Notes, because I told you I use that book also in middle school. So I told you, good teaching expands throughout grade levels and content. So Miss Amissa,
thank you.
The L.I.V.E team and your sorors who was like going crazy. We want to say thank you so much. I learned a whole lot today. So on behalf of the L.I.V.E team, we want to thank you for presenting during this summer series. You are a wealth of knowledge. You share it with such clarity and fidelity. And I know your children learn, and I know your children grow because you were able to teach us such great things in a short time. So thank you so much for the opportunity to allow us to let you come up here. So I'm going to turn it back over to Miss Lavetta. Please stay on until the end so we can say our final goodbyes to you. But thank you again so much.
And thank you all for having me.
You are welcome.
Thank you again, Amissa. You know, this is like homecoming week for me because Amissa and I go back to the very first at D-Tech, and she was one of my D-Tech teachers. I'm so excited that we had a chance to reconnect this year. It seems like we've been reconnecting every year.
That's right. That's right.
So excited that we were able to host you here in our summer learning series, and you provide so much information. And Amissa, please, if you have the time, you can go through the comments and reply, because there are some other questions and comments. We think that if you can go through the D-Tech Facebook page, or you can kind of give some responses to some of those. Okay.
Okay. So I'll do that. Thank you.
We want to remind you to complete the survey. We've got the survey link running there. So make sure that you complete the survey so that you can be one of our winners. So it's time for us to pull a winner to spin the wheel from those that participate in the survey from last week. Let's go, Keishla. Spin the wheel. Let's see who's going to win this week. Our first winner is Krista Glover. Congratulations, Krista. This is our winner for this week. This is going to be the winner. One more winner. Let's see who is going to be. The winner is spin. You will never spin. One more spin. Thank you. Let's see who is the winner. Oh, Natasha from Los Angeles, California. Shout out to Natasha, guys. So congratulations, Natasha, and congratulations to both of our winners. We want to thank you again for participating tonight on Thursday. Again, it's homecoming week for me. Another one of my D-Tech teachers, Miss Tia Gilliam Wilson, will be here. So excited to have Tia with us. Tia her session is called Cooking Up Learning, Turn Your Kitchen into a Classroom. So we know that that's going to be fun and engaging. It sounds like we're going to be eating too, all together at the same time. So excited about Thursday. So come back, see us Thursday, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. We want to say, bring the L.I.V.E team back. L.I.V E, come back. Let's say bye to everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night. in, but we need numbers. We need to show up at school board meetings. We need to show up at county commissioner meetings. We need to have someone on the agenda to talk and know what they're talking about to advocate.
So that's the whole goal, just to be better, to come with the new knowledge, come with the new awareness,